I'm so glad to be joining you today for day 2 of Mission Deep Blue VBS. Yesterday we heard a story from the book of Exodus. We learned about Moses and how the Israelites crossed the Red Sea. And today we're going to go into the New Testament. We're going to go to the book of John, which is one of our Gospels. We're going to read from John chapter 6, verse 1 to 13. If you have a Bible, you can open it up to that. If not, just listen along and maybe you can read it later. So Jesus had a ton of friends, and his disciples, do you remember his disciples? They were the 12 people that he was closest to. They were like his 12 best friends. All of them, or most of them, were actually fishermen. And when Jesus asked his disciples to follow him, he said to a few of them, I'm going to make you fishers of men instead of fishermen. Isn't that funny? Fishers of people. So that meant that they would bring all of their gifts that they would use to catch fish, but instead of catching fish, they would tell people about Jesus. They would catch people. And they had lots of gifts like patience. You have to be really patient to fish. You have to have some good skill to fish. Endurance, strength, all of these things came with them. And they would use those to bring them closer to Jesus. And they would have lots of really cool stories to tell people too, because as we know, Jesus does lots of really cool things, right? The disciples got a front row seat to see Jesus do all of those cool things. Today, we're going to hear about one of his miracles that he did. So there was a group of people. The Bible says 5,000 men. Now it just tells us men, which means that women were probably there too, and children. So there were probably way more than 5,000 people there. There was a group of people. They were listening to Jesus speak and teach, and they all started to get hungry. They were all together for a while. And the disciples started to get a little worried, and they said, Jesus, these guys are hungry. What are we going to do? And Jesus said, well, you can feed them, take care of them. And they looked at each other and they said, we don't have enough money to feed all of these people. It's a lot of people to feed. And Jesus then said, well, go see what the people have. And the disciples found one little boy, who had 5 loaves of bread, like I've got here, and 2 fish. That's it. And the disciples brought this to Jesus. And they said, this is all we've got. And Jesus said, well, that's enough. And so he blessed it, and then he started to break it off. It's really gummy. And give it to the disciples. And he did the same thing with the bread, and broke it, and he gave it out to the disciples. And as he was doing this, do you know what happened? Everything multiplied. They had enough fish to feed all of the people. They had enough bread to feed all of the people. But what's even cooler is at the very end of the story, we see and we read that not only did they have enough to feed everybody until their bellies were full, they had enough to fill 12 baskets full of leftover food. All of that from 5 loaves of bread and just 2 fish. Isn't that a cool miracle? This story is so important because it reminds us that when we bring whatever we have to God, he can do so much more with it. Did you come to Mission Deep Blue with just a few fish in your pocket? Did you come today with just fish? Probably not. But you have yourself, and you each have a bunch of unique gifts. Maybe some of you are really good at telling stories or singing or playing sports or being kind. You all have special things that make you special. And when you use those gifts, those special things, to serve others, whether it's helping somebody learn to do something new or being kind to somebody who needs some kindness in their life, God can use you. God can do even more than you could ever imagine. Isn't that cool? Thanks for watching.